Who is comparing? Come. Start. ഇതെടുത്തോളൂ. തോണല്ലേ?
A warm afternoon to everyone present here. Today, we are privileged to be in the company of our esteemed and distinguished guest, Dr. B. Ashok IAS, the Honorable Vice Chancellor of KU. He will be enlightening us on strategies to tackle the civil services and sharing valuable insights and guidance. I also invite all the dignitaries, deans, professors, teaching and non-teaching staff to this program. Once again, I extend a heartfelt welcome to all of you to this insightful seminar. Let's start this program with our invocation song.
ഘോഷതപ്തമാം ഭൂമിയിൽ ഒരു കരുണ തന്നാസാരധാരകൾ ചൊരിയുമംബികെ പർജന്യ ദേവതേ സുരുചിരോദാര സന്താന ശാഖിയാ കരികലപ്പകൾ കാളകൾക്കൊപ്പമായി വരി വരിച്ചാരു കമ്പളാഭോഗയാ മനുജ വിജ്ഞാന സീമാവികാസത്തിൻ അനുസൃതമായ സൗരഭ്യ സിദ്ധികൾ അവികലം ശാസ്ത്ര ചക്രവാളങ്ങളിൽ അവിടവീടെ വിതയ്ക്കുന്നു വിത്തുകൾ പുതിയ ദീപം കൊളുത്തുക നാളത്തിൽ പുതിയ ജീവൻ തുടിക്കട്ടെ മേൽക്കുമേൽ ഹരിയ സൗഭാഗ്യധാരകൾ കക്ഷയ ചരികയാകനീ കർഷക ക്ഷേത്രമേ ഹരിയ സൗഭാഗ്യധാരകൾ കക്ഷയ ചരികയാകനീ കർഷക ക്ഷേത്രമേ ചരികയാകനീ കർഷക ക്ഷേത്രമേ.
I take this opportunity to invite our esteemed Dean, Dr. P.O. Hamid, who has always been the backbone of our institution. Sir, your vision and relentless support have been instrumental in shaping our journey, and it is because of your guidance that we are privileged to attend this educational seminar with such eminent figures today. We are deeply thankful for your dedication and leadership. I now invite you, sir, to deliver the welcome address.
Okay, good afternoon, one and all. Honorable Vice Chancellor Ashok sir, the Forestry, sir, other officers who have joined online, and my dear students. Well, today we have gathered here in connection with an important workshop on seminar on how to tackle civil service. Well, the background of, as you know, how we have arrived here is, about a month back or so, I was flipping through the internet, searching for some literature. Then I happened to come across this book called How to Tackle Civil Service, published by the DC Books. And then I was pleasantly surprised to note that the author of that book is none but Ashok sir. Then I contacted sir and requested him, whether he can give a session on the topic to the students of the Kerala Agricultural University, and he has readily accepted that request, and that's why we are here today. Well, this program is being organized by the Internal Quality Assurance Cell, the IQAC of the Kerala Agricultural University, which is mandated with quality checking of education and research in the Agricultural University. And IQAC plans to have a series of similar such program for the welfare of the student community. And this is the first of that. And I'm so happy that the first of such program is being conducted by Rashok sir. Well, I don't think we can have a better person, resource person than Rashok sir for handling such a session. I don't know how many of you know, sir is an alumnus of the Kerala Agricultural University back in early 80s late 80s or and early 90s. He did his Bachelor of Veterinary Science and Animal Husbandry from the Kerala Agricultural University. The veterinary college at that time was to the Agricultural University. And then subsequently, he took double masters, one in water management from the University of London and other in political science from the University of Turin in Italy. Sir's PhD has been on media and communication from the Amrita Vishwa Vidyapeetham, Kochi. And he has then traveled extensively to different continents, including he has taken degrees from Duke University, then from the Canada, from the Australia, from the Western Sydney, and South places he has made study visits. Well, he has been a civil servant in the Indian Education Service since 1998, more than 2.5 decades now, and holding various important posts in the state government, central government, and academic institutions. He has been the executive director of World Bank assisted project in water resource, and I don't know how many of you would have seen that Jalanidhi, the stuff, that's actually the brainchild of Ashok sir. Whichever department he works, he makes, signature of himself, and we can see this Jalanidhi stuff, all over Kerala. So sir is responsible for that. He has been the deputy director of Lal Bahadur Shastri National Academy of Administration, Mussoorie, where he has been involved in training of young civil servants. He was a professor and the registrar at the Chennai Vishwa Vidyapeeth in Kochi, and he was the first vice chancellor of Kerala Veterinary and Animal Sciences. So it's a unique feat that one can achieve. The place where he has studied, he has become the vice chancellor not only in the veterinary university but now in Kerala University also. And he served as a director of the central government, also in the Department of Agriculture. And he has been the chairman of the Kerala State Electricity Board, which is a very, very important position, and he served there. And right now, as we all know, he is the secretary of the Agriculture Department, and he's also the APC, Agriculture Protection Commissioner, and apart from his vice chancellor. So in 2019, he won Canada's International Research Award for sociology research dissertation, and then, after assuming charge of the Vice Chancellor in March 2023, in less than 2 years, he has made substantial contribution for the academic and student community of the Agricultural University, which include, he started, just to highlight a few points, he started 25 new academic programs, which is a very, very important step, bold step that we have not been taking for the past 50 years or so. Enhancement of the PhD enrollment from just 100 to more than 300. New infrastructure support to the tune of 1,000 crore for the university. It's a pipeline. Implemented e-office in the Agricultural University, which is the first university in the state to implement that. Then made the Green Campus Initiative, close to 100 megawatt of project in the pipeline. The Enterprise Resource Planning (ERP), which is also in the pipeline. Once it is implemented, it is basically intended as an ease of doing business, particularly for the student community. You guys need not have to run behind offices. Right now, one student had come and met asking for rank certificate. Once ERP is implemented, such running around the offices would not happen. You can apply it from anywhere, at any time. So with these few words, and also, sir, we have close to 300 students applying online and offline, and so we have some of the best students, and sir, as of now, Kerala Agricultural University would have produced close to 100 civil servants. For example, in the Forest College alone, we have close to 50 people into civil service, mostly into Indian Forest Service, but couple of them into Indian Administrative Service also. You must be knowing Suresh Kumar, who is in Andhra Pradesh cadre, and the second candidate who cleared Indian Administrative Service from the Forest College is Arun Mahi Babu. So, sir, and so for the children, what I want to tell is that you have tremendous potential. Because you have come after several hours of screening, you are the cream of the stage, and what is needed is some amount of motivation, and that's why we have organized this program today. So with this few words of introduction, let me have the pleasure of introducing Ashok sir, MSS. Please give a big hand. I also welcome all of you.
Thank you, sir. It is my honor to introduce our distinguished guest, Dr. V. Ashok IAS, an eminent educationist, writer, speaker, academician, and columnist. Currently serving as the Vice Chancellor of Kerala Agricultural University, Dr. Ashok has an illustrious career. He was the first Vice Chancellor of Kerala Veterinary and Animal Sciences University and has also served as a professor and registrar at Chirmaya Vishwapitam University, Kochi. A 1998 batch IAS officer, Dr. Ashok has held key positions such as Director of the Central Department of Agriculture, Deputy Director of the National Academy of Administration, Missouri, and faculty member at the IAS Academy in Missouri for over 15 years. He has also served as Power Secretary Chairman and Managing Director of ACD and Director of Water Resources. During his tenure as Chairman and Managing Director of the Kerala State Electricity Board, he initiated numerous reforms leaving a lasting impact on the sector. With such a wealth of knowledge and experience, we are truly privileged to have him with us today. I warmly invite you, sir, to take the stage.
Good afternoon, and respected chair of the faculty session, Dr. Anamil, Dr. Nyamu, members of the faculty, dear friends, students. Civil service disadvantage. In the sense that my exam is like 27 years before, and that pattern has probably changed some 10, 15 years back. Some competition magazine, a friend of mine, the editor of that, when I was working in Delhi, he wanted an introductory sequence of essays for his publication. About the request essays exam pattern Mario so please verify it before you use. But principles apply. So, as I told you, I have developed some slides to just guide us, which are there. It doesn't matter. Right. So, we will divide this into 30-35 minutes of what I want to say, and I will try and answer what you have to ask about careers in government in general. When we say civil service, it implies careers in government. I have been a civil servant. In fact, that has been the only job I have ever done. I joined the administrative service in early 98 as a result of the 97 competitive examination, while I was a first year master student. So I have no other record in that sense, no work record in the state except my internship for the BBC and AH program. We were rather notorious and ill-famed students of the neighboring veterinary faculty, where Professor Naveer's dad used to be our professor of anatomy. I had a particularly sound ill fame with him. I clearly remember, failing the first, probably gross anatomy paper too, which he examined. So since he knew, he have roots in Kollam, somewhere near south, Alapi. So he knew my grand uncle and he telephoned him in the second semester and said that, well, you told me your nephew is out here and he's a total loser and you have to, he has lost, he's lost my gross anatomy course also. So he promptly informed my granduncle to relate to my parents and that created difficulty also for me. Semester 2. So normally the idea in medical and allied courses is you start by failing anatomy, you are likely to reach nowhere. But I somehow managed. Went off from here. Like most of you do, I was surprised. I was personally surprised when the ICR gave me a fellowship to go and study biotechnology in the then, what is it, National Center for Biotechnology, newly inaugurated National Center for Biotechnology. The biotechnology was the in thing there. So without knowing what biotechnology is, I also filled up animal biotechnology as my first choice. And that biotechnology, genetics is biotechnology, molecular. So when I looked at my scorecard in the veterinary science, I was like, so maybe in the first 5 to 10 in the cohort of the batch, but you can't say that that's a stellar performance. I was more interested in other things. Like organizing, conducting strikes, going around, allowing people, that was the story. So, or even getting into trouble with the police or, getting arrested, Clearly, so that's why the student politicians find it very difficult to deal with me. I know that life story totally well. I completely empathize with them, but they have not done what I have done. So much so that when the union government appointed me to the IAS, I was apprehensive whether the state police will declare me, the state intelligence will report me unfit for the job. So I clearly remember meeting the then superintendent of police, Trishur, who later retired as DGP. And I told him that I have sort of a history in the Nandi police station. So he said, what is it? Rape, what is your crime? So I said, conduct agitations. So I have writing, I've been out several times on bail and all that. So he was a sport. So he immediately called for the records and said that these are what we call civil offenses. All of you run it when you are students. So I'm going to write, he told me very clearly that I'm going to write a report saying that despite doing all this, look at this chap. He has become rank number 23 all India. So he should have something in him. So he told his writer, people with all this nonsense and issued him all clear siren to join the IAS. That is how had he taken a different view, it would have been a little troublesome for me. Because what if the GI knew exactly what I did? But I think it would have been rather troublesome too. I'm saying this that even if you are a little problematic at this stage, I would strongly encourage you to write for the civil service exam. These things don't matter. In the long run, a lot of wrong things for you to do later in life. These are very minor offenses. So when the what you call student disciplinary matters are put before me, recommending punishment, I rather smile at the fellow. He has done probably 10% of what I have done. But not make it an excuse and do Western times, right? We will have to clamp down on you. But what I'm finding in the student body today is a much more docile lot. You're not doing real offenses. When you look at the real offenses which we used to be, pretty with and anyway, that's. So to come back to my experience of writing the exam, as I told you, I took the 97 exam. I graduated out of Nanati probably in August, September 96. The next year, February or something, I went to Bareilly and since I had plans to write the exam, I wrote the preliminary in Trivandrum and the main in Delhi. That's my memory of it. And it was winter. I strongly remember writing the exam in Woodlands in the UPSC's main exam centers. One thing I vividly remember is the following summer, that is 97 May, end of February, end of April or April, May. The interviews were conducted. So I appeared at Dolpur House and taking tips. ഇന്നത്തെ മാതിരി കോച്ചിങ് സെന്റേഴ്സോ ഇത്രയും ബാഹുല്യോ പുസ്തകങ്ങളോ അങ്ങനെയുള്ള കാര്യങ്ങളൊന്നും അത്രയില്ല. വെരി ഫ്യൂ റൗസ് അങ്ങനെയൊക്കെ ചില. Some of the friends asked me questions to prepare me for the exam. I attended a little bit of the second optional one. I took some classes for anthropology to make it my second option, etc. And I went for the exam. But what I vividly remember is that it was a 45-minute interview. None of them were Keralites, or I think it was board number 10 which interviewed me. And it lasted for full 45 minutes. And it was a very pleasurable, not a question and answer session, but they tested the depth of the candidate. Chairman was R.K. Department. He's no more. He used to be a former IAS officer and chairman of the Tripura Public Service Commission before he became member of the Union Public Service Commission. That puts me on. Well, I distinctly remember questions on why do you want to leave a career in biotechnology and become a brain in the drain. This is one of the questions which he put before me. So I sort of answered that, possibly a brain in the drain is better than the brain drain. So we were playing word games with one another. So then they asked, why would a brain in the drain be better than the brain drain? Things like that. Trains, imply meanings. So we were playing with one another. I did not answer all the questions. Some of the time I did not know. So I frankly said that I am not familiar with what you are asking. But the beauty of that interview was that it was very nuanced, experienced people. Somebody from defense was there, some general, ex-general or something. Nawani was there, who was IND secretary, etc. Very senior, experienced people. And all of us enjoyed that interaction. And in 45 minutes, the chairman said, time is up. I would have loved to talk to you for some more time, and then I looked at the members, and I could see that they were selecting. That's the most important point. I did not have to wait for the results. I knew that I had carried the board with me, right? And then Department extended his hand and said that, God bless you, this was one of the finest performances I've seen this year, right? They scored me at, I think 78% or something. 80 was the highest percentage given that year. That was for a lady candidate. They gave me, generally they are little liberal because they want to increase the percentage of representation of women. They add on, and I'm trying to imply that I was still better than her. When we met in Missouri, I interacted with her and said that he doesn't deserve to. I was number one, Anyway. That aside, I keep that experience with me, and interestingly, remember that was my first try at the exam. I taken in 3 different centers and all, written with a lot of disadvantage in various ways. But that evening, I remember those coin booths which used to be there. I don't know whether you are familiar with coin booths. They are all post 2000. The coin STD booths where you have the. So I called my dad, who was very anxious to know because he was himself a public servant. It was important for him that I did well. So he asked me, how did it go? I said, I have been selected. Lock, stock, and barrel. Who else are they going to select? But that is confidence estimated on potential should drive you everywhere. Right? Confidence. I was a nobody there. I knew nobody in UPSC. I gone from Bareilly to attend the interview, and in the same board, we had very important people, lots of very important people appearing. There was a son of a DGP who was appearing, security guards were there, very high positioned people. But all said and done, I was called third for the interview, so I was waiting for the first 2 to be over. We were having tea and snacks in the waiting area of the UPSC. And normally, anybody would have butterflies in the. You will have a certain element of preparation as to what is going to happen because you have put 1.5 years in an examination and the next 30 minutes, if you are not going well, they are likely to go. If they are closing in 20-25 minutes, this means that message is come back, right? Normally they say some of the boards are very, rather curt. They may say at 10-15 minutes that, we'll stop it here. But 45 is supposed to be good because you have to interview 5 candidates in the session. And if they are devoting 45 minutes, it indicates an interest in candidate whom they would like to pursue further. But while I was waiting with the other 5 and interacting with the other 5, I was telling that I am going to make it out of this 5. And all these fellows are going to score below me. ഞാൻ ഈ പറഞ്ഞ ചർച്ച ഇത്രയേ ഉള്ളൂ. ഇതുപോലുള്ള ഒരു കോമ്പറ്റിറ്റീവ് പരീക്ഷയിൽ നിങ്ങളുടെ എഫേർട്ട് എല്ലാം വളരെ പ്രധാനമാണ്. പക്ഷെ നിങ്ങളുടെ മെഷേർഡ് കോൺഫിഡൻസ് ആണ് നിങ്ങളുടെ ഏറ്റവും ഭയങ്കര കാര്യം. യു ഹാവ് ടു അണ്ടർസ്റ്റാൻഡ് ദാറ്റ് യു ആർ എ ബോൺ വിന്നർ. ഇതില്ലാതെ ചെയ്യുന്നത് ബുദ്ധിമുട്ടാണ്. Am I good enough എന്ന് ചിന്തിച്ചു പോയാൽ ഇതിൽ കടന്നു കയറാൻ പ്രയാസമാണ്. So whenever I have been called later into selections of UPSC or state PSC or universities not so much. The singular value I look at the candidate walking in to be interviewed is the positive vibe he is holding. ബാക്കി എല്ലാം നമുക്ക് ഫീൽ ചെയ്യാം. പക്ഷെ ഓറിയന്റേഷൻ പോസിറ്റീവ് അല്ലെങ്കിൽ എത്ര അറിവ് ഉണ്ടായിട്ട് പോലും കാര്യമില്ല. The entire burden of knowledge will drag that fellow down. And if you are selecting people into executive positions, the only virtue I look for is, given a task, will he apply himself at it? Will he throw himself at the task? That's the virtue you look for. And does he or she have enough positivity? Positivity is but the second, a person who is intentional, purposeful, and directed enters the room, and a sloppy, confused character enters the room, you will be able to make out very fast because the vibrations you will be able to pick up. The gaze, the way he looks at it, the way he sits down. You see, disorganized people will never be able to sit properly into the chair first. They will adjust 3 times to find the chair. So, are you perplexed that easily? That's a very important criteria. And invariably, I notice how he reacts at inadequate knowledge. He doesn't know something, and we will invariably ask. Good boards will always ask you questions which you might not know deliberately. Are you candid enough? Would you try to engage in guesswork and beating around the bush and trying to remember and all that? It's important in the interview that you are asked 10 questions. You may know only 4 or 5 answers, but making them crisply, nicely, succinctly, clearly is more important than answering all of them. Second, you have to put with a question. I was asked, what is the relationship between civil society and something else? Then when it is that I am not familiar with either term, sorry. Frankly, you are not supposed to know everything. That's not important. But what are the virtues in an interview is spontaneity. I will always look for whether you are able to know what you know and what you do not know pretty fast. Right? And give an appropriate response. That's all. I mean, one should not be verbose. One should not choose colorful, playful language. You can be slightly humorous, but don't get sarcastic. It's a formal occasion. So, are you able to preserve the balances that is required of a young aspiring civil servant who has to work in public case? That's another very important criteria. I don't know why people don't write and succeed in huge numbers. It only takes you. Content you are doing agriculture or I wrote with zoology and whatever, anthropology. It's one option. There's only one option, which makes it even more easier. So you pick up your subject, develop your content, but this is a kind of career in which, as I told you, I started early. When I joined civil service, I was just turning 25. I have to work nowhere else. So all my 27 years of experience are only in public positions. I was doing that. I was selected for this managerial cadre of NABARD also that year. But eventually the IAS interview happened first, so I did not go for the other interview. Because I'm damn sure that I will be selected by the UPS. Outreaching confidence at the time. I was banking that a permanent will keep his word. He told me that it's one of the. At the time, you do not know what your current score is. That score is poor. Despite the government's impressions, you would collapse out of the exam also. You are hoping that you will do well. Now I'll tell you about what is special about. I will not deliberately go into what the exam is because firstly it has changed. Secondly, all of you are able to look at UPSC's website or any coaching institute's website. Is that there are 100 sources. Almost everybody seems to be preparing students for civil service these days. So that information is in public domain. Try and see that and develop your own exam strategies and all that. My simple point is for the purposeful candidate who is able to devote 6 to 8 hours per day post your graduation. These exams should work out pretty easily. And if it is not working out for you despite 3 attempts, the fact of the matter is you are not cut out for it. Right? You may have deficiency in sitting down for 8 hours and focusing on something. Focusing is very important. Nothing else should deter you at that time. When you focus on something, it should be total devotion. And more than memory, you should have a sort of analytical intelligence. In the sense that you analyze the thing and understand the thing. And also you are able to explain it in writing as well as speaking with it. Right, you will have to. So these skills are there. If these skills are deficient in English or Malayalam, I would encourage that you train in teams and try to develop these. And to sort of succeed in this examination, you don't have to be a hugely successful public speaker, flamboyant personality. You need all that. You only need coherent language in which you are able to explain a thing as it would work for a layman. Right. Without that, you cannot work as an officer. You will have to. You keep on explaining things in writing. You keep on explaining things or developing things, taking decisions. So that skill set is required to analyze creatively and constructively, explain propositions to people, take decisions, articulate it in writing, and writing skills are extremely important determiner of success. Because the scoring part of the examination, even now I think it is about 9 or 10 written papers, longhand written papers. So you need that succinct, straightforward writing skills, which unambiguous writing, error-free writing is one of the key things. So if you are deficient there, try and start working on it. Write 200 words every day, show it to somebody who knows language better than you, and keep getting corrected. You write 10 essays, 11th essay will be very far better than the first one which you wrote, or better organized. And you need to also understand how a 2000 word essay is organized with the introduction, with the main arguments, conclusion. These are all, for the intelligent candidate who can come through neat and all, this will not pose much of an issue, purposeful and all. Next 10 minutes, I will tell you what you will get into if you crack the civil service with sufficient merit into the administrative service. Well, administrative service typically will start working in subdivisions, right? In India, there are some 800 districts or something, and there is a district officer, which every state government puts called a district collector. You will start as one level below him, actually 2 levels below him, but then you will start running a revenue subdivision, where in most of the states, they will also make you a magistrate in charge of the entire subdivision. So these early postings are an important criteria of career development in the civil service because you get fairly heavy critical responsibility even when you are young. So typically, if you join the revenue subdivision, as I did with Metropolitan, you will find that probably you are the youngest person in public service there. I was like 26 and a half or 27 when I joined as assistant collector. Practically everybody had 27 years of experience, right? There will be a very steep learning curve which you will have. And as I told you, you need quick grasp of things and a fast analysis. Because I was asked to conduct elections probably third month of my joining. Third month of joining, I went into conducting elections to the local bodies. Probably the MP election also took place within 7 months of joining. So the pace of learning, this is not to praise myself in that sense. It's a slightly complicated task because it is very legally oriented. There is a huge returning officer's manual to be understood, and anything that goes wrong will fire back on your chest right away because there is an election commission sitting in Trivandrum or daily watching your particularly MP elections, your AROs, and the district collector will be the RO. So probably 6 months we were conducting elections, so there will be a lot of training sessions. And in Palakkad there used to be one warrior who used to be, he was a village officer, I remember, and he used to be very good with election law. So even the collector will call warrior and ask him also, warrior, what is to be done? The warrior was supposed to be the walking lexicon and encyclopedia of elections in Palakkad. So when we were close to elections, my personal determination was that I will not ask warrior even one clarification. So in every meeting, the warrior would steal the show, giving answers to every. There are many returning officers, including me. The others would ask questions, even basic questions which I know. So warrior would explain and become the sort of professor in what, I told the professor, I will have no question for you. I'm going to learn all of that myself. So I got into the manuals and started working on it and studying. Every night I was sitting studying. I was not with my family at the time, so the entire night is for you. So if you go then you start reading the manuals by hearting. The Election Commission of India's manuals, only a madman will do that. But people will read only what they want to do. So I decided I will by heart the manual, including the clauses, cost numbers, everything. So 3 or 4 days prior to elections, Warrior called me on the phone. And Warrior called me, he had retired just then. But he was being employed honorably, in honorary capacity to assist the district election officer. So Warrior called me and said, so he said, sir, Warrior, yes, Mr. Shulapani, what is your question? എന്റെ പേര് ശൂലപണി എന്നാണ് സാർ എങ്ങനെ പഠിച്ചു ഇവിടെ ആർക്കും അത് അറിഞ്ഞുകൂടാ ഞാൻ പറഞ്ഞ എലിമെന്ററി റിസർച്ച് ഐ സ്റ്റാർട്ട് റിസർച്ചിങ് ഭാര്യയുടെ പോയിന്റ് ഇതായിരുന്നു I am pretty amazed at what you are doing. Don't take it that I am congratulating you. But I find that all your memos, your forms, your letters, your things are, I am very closely watching you like a headmaster for the last 1 month for you to make one mistake. Because you are a young IAS officer. I don't give a damn about the other returning officers. I am seeing whether you will go wrong with a line in your correspondence. And I must congratulate you. I just told the collector that this fellow has sort of mastered the entire proceedings. So this is the challenge which the job gives you, right? He has 30 years experience. You have 3 months. But with your cognitive abilities, can you match with him? Right. And my bosses were also very tough with me. Even 3-4 months into the job, in the other revenue division, which is Palakkad, I had a very experienced state service officer, Sugadan. The Sugadan is, he has 30 years of experience in revenue, so nothing is new for him. Conducting an attachment, taking a mortgage. You ask him, he's again the encyclopedia of revenue functions. And as a young man, I am expecting my collector to give me a leeway to study. He wouldn't give it. And reviews progress, if your progress is lagging behind Sugadan, he wouldn't insult, but he will very politely say, Sugadan, please help this boy. He is living, please help this boy. Big insult, what for is nothing, he has to give it. So I will go home and again start working. If you have an appetite for knowledge and competition, this job will satisfy your ego. That's very important. Early learning, you get quite a lot. Some development work will be there, but largely regulatory, because you are also, what I'm trying to tell you is that the cinema IAS ഇത് രാത്രി മുഴുവൻ ഇരുന്ന് പഠിച്ചെങ്കിലേ ജോലിയിൽ എന്തെങ്കിലും എത്താൻ പറ്റുള്ളൂ. That is what I am trying to say. Otherwise, you will make a fool of yourself and commit huge blunders which will affect others. So if you have the tenacity to get on top of the situation, study through the manuals, study through the judgments, get out of tricky situations, it is good for you. ഞാൻ IAS അക്കാദമിയിൽ ഇരുന്നോണ്ട് ഞാൻ പറയാണ്, ഈ പരീക്ഷ എല്ലാം പാസ്സായതിനു ശേഷം ടോട്ടൽ ഫ്ലോപ്സ് ആവുന്ന ഒരുപാട് ആൾക്കാരെ കണ്ടുകൊണ്ടിരിക്കുകയാണ്. High quality graduates, but apply ചെയ്യുന്നില്ല. Application is a totally different thing. You have to keep thinking on your feet to do that. I'll tell you a couple of what your life in the initial subdivisional phase will be. I did 2 subdivisions. It's an extremely memorable phase because you are young, you are very enthused to work. So part of your detail will be as suppose you become a subdivisional magistrate. The student, I think, is 1 subdivision. So whoever is the sub-collector or the SDM of this area will be an exciting thing for a young person to do. Because typically in a subdivision there will be about 10-15 police stations, right? So all the SHOs will need you. A counterpart in the police will be an SDPO. If he is not an IPS officer, he will be a KPS officer. Very experienced senior DYSPs will be in charge of police subdivisions. So typically, the beauty about working in the subdivisions is that no day can be predicted as to what will happen. And you will never have enough intelligence to anticipate the day. What you are in for, you never know. 8 AM, you cannot say where you will be at 8 PM. So that is where the way that time will twist you. So typically, whenever, because you are the subdivisional magistrate, and particularly because I was in the outlying subdivision, Palakkad will tell you that supported by the police information system, they will tell you that an agitation is going on to take place in the Taluk office. Municipal office is being picketed. So police parties are right there. So please be available. You may be required to sort of come if something erupts. In between, there will be a death which requires a magisterial inquest, because there are certain categories of suspicious death where police is not allowed to do the inquest. You will have to attend to the inquest. In between, the police will arrest suspicious people picked up in Kalamalayikkum, പക്ഷേ കളവ് മുതലോ കളവ് നടത്തുന്ന പ്രോസസ്സിലോ അല്ല പിടിച്ചിരിക്കുന്നെങ്കിൽ പിന്നെ പ്രിവെന്റീവ് ഡിറ്റൻഷൻ ഇടാൻ പറ്റുള്ളൂ. There is a clause called 106 to 109 in the previous CRPC. It's a good thing, right? Anyway, young magistrate പറഞ്ഞാൽ രാവിലെ ഇതുപോലെ പോയി ഓഫീസിൽ ഇരുന്നപ്പോൾ 4-5 ഗുണ്ടകളെ പിടിച്ചോണ്ട് വന്നിരിക്കില്ല പോലീസുകാർ. സാർ റിമാൻഡ് ചെയ്യണം. ഇത് ഓഫീസ് റിമാൻഡ് ചെയ്യുന്നത് ഞങ്ങൾക്ക് അറിയില്ല. In this job, you cannot say that I don't know. You have to start running right away in that sense. You have to get from a reader as to what is to be done. Because if you know the organization of the revenue subdivisions and taluks, you have the judicial magistrates. There will be 1 magistrate available in every jurisdiction throughout, because you never know an arrest will take place. And therefore, the person will have to be produced. Suppose a judicial magistrate is not available, then normally the police will think, how can we keep him for 2 days? Because police can keep a person under custody only for 24 hours, 48 hours. Beyond 48, he has to be produced before a magistrate. So the other way is to sort of put section 109, bring him before the subdivision magistrate and try and get a remand. So you have to decide whether you are going to remand the man or not. You can ask him questions, identify if he is a threat to public tranquility as this is typical. They will start calling you up in the night or the morning and try to produce people before you. And you have to ascertain by asking him as to whether he is a real threat, whether he was trying to become a nuisance to public tranquility. Normally, they will be non-Malayalam speakers. Suspicious and picky and uncaring would work. So you have to start doing all that. ഞാൻ ഈ പറയുന്നത് എന്താണെന്ന് വെച്ചാൽ ഇത് മനസ്സിലാക്കിയിട്ട് വരാൻ ചില ആൾക്കാർക്ക് ഇതിന് ഉള്ള അപ്പറ്റൈറ്റ് കാണുന്നില്ല. Suppose you start your day by looking at a dead body in a mortuary, which is not very nice to see because it has been badly mutilated. Many youngsters cannot stand it, right? I'll tell you a story which I attended personally in person. In Kollam, when I was the SDM, normally because we have huge rail tracks, people commit suicide by flinging themselves before trains. It's not a pretty sight because the body would have become dismembered. police is so the inquest will have to be sort of correct. I mean, there is suspicion that, certain categories, if it's a woman who is below 7 years of marriage, you will have to go and conduct the inquest. So I remember distinctly being called out by the SHO, probably East Police, in the morning, saying that, sir, please, we are parties here, the inquest turns out to be your terrain, so please come and conduct the inquest. പരവതാനിയിൽ പായ വെച്ചിട്ടുണ്ട് ഒരു കയ്യൊരു ഭാഗത്ത് ഒരു കാലിന് ഭാഗത്ത് ടോർസ് പിന്നെ ട്രെയിൻ ട്രാൻസ്ഫോമർ ഇമാജിൻ ഞാൻ ഇൻവെസ്റ്റ് ചെയ്യാൻ തുടങ്ങി വളരെ കൈ കാണുന്നില്ലല്ലോ. അപ്പൊ സാർ ഞങ്ങൾ എല്ലാം തപ്പി രാത്രി ആയതുകൊണ്ട് ഇൻസിഡന്റ് വാസ് ഇൻ ദ നൈറ്റ്, സോ കൊടുക്കാൻ ഞാൻ കഴിച്ചുകൊണ്ട് കാണും കിട്ടുന്നില്ല, വലത്തേക്ക് കാണില്ല. ഞാൻ പറഞ്ഞ എനിക്ക് വലത്തേക്ക് കാണും. ബിഫോർ ഐ dispatch the body for postmortem, you never know. കൊന്നിട്ടുകൊണ്ടിട്ടാണെങ്കിലും I need to know, I need to get this hand. അപ്പൊ ഞാൻ പറഞ്ഞു ഒന്നുകൂടി നല്ലപോലെ നോക്കി അവിടെ. They went around looking for the remaining parts but could not find it. ഞാൻ പറഞ്ഞത് ഈ thinking on your feet is a very important element of your teaching. ഞാൻ ചെറിയ എക്സാമ്പിളാണ് പറയുന്നത്, but you have to develop that thinking. അപ്പൊ ഞാൻ എസ്എൻജിയോട് ചോദിച്ചു ഏത് ട്രെയിനാണ് കഴിച്ചത്, such and such express. So I have some railway history in my family, people who work in the railways. So they are exposed to every railway running staff knows what happens when the train hits a person. They will face it. The engine driver cannot stop the train. If somebody is trying to fling before you, he cannot apply the brake. He can only look this side and ran past. Train brake is ഇവരുടെ ഇന്ററാക്ഷനിലൂടെ എനിക്ക് പെട്ടെന്ന് ഞാൻ പറഞ്ഞത് ഫൈൻഡ് ഔട്ട് വേർ ദ ട്രെയിൻ ഈസ്. സർ ആലപ്പുഴ കഴിഞ്ഞ് ഇറ്റ് ഇസ് pulling into Ernakulam station. There is a take down message. SDM Kollam addressing Assistant Commissioner of Police Kochi station. Please arrange to search locomotive engine such and such. Madras Navy departing such and such train number, particularly the undercarriage. Undercarriage of the engine. Please search. Missing body parts. Please search and recover. So you need to know immediately that Section 100 CRPC, as a magistrate, you can direct any police officer in India to commence a search to discover a material evidence which pertains to a person or a material evidence which pertains to an offense or unnatural death. Right? So, and the cell phones, that's all right. The police have their RT. So my message goes from the inspector, Bravo Kollam will call their UHF station in Trivandrum, UHF Trivandrum Police Control Room will call Assistant Commissioner, Police Commissioner Kochi, Police Commissioner will immediately instruct his control. Then automatically message after the flashing the train pulls into the Kochi station. There is a posse of police waiting for the train, and they arrange to with the RPF. They go under the recover the hand, right? So the SHO walks, the sub inspector came in the afternoon to meet me and said, "Sir, ഞങ്ങൾ കാലത്ത് തോന്നിയില്ല ട്രെയിൻ കാലത്ത് കയറി പോയി കാണുമ്പോൾ ഞങ്ങൾ ഇത്ര ബോഡി കാണുന്നതാണ്." She went and laid herself down on the track. So when the train moved past, obviously the limb became severed, and because of this Newton's motion, Newton's law, it would have flung upwards, and because the body part is in spasm, listen to anatomy, because it is in spasm, it would have attached itself to a part of the train and the train would have taken it away. But then you suppose it did not click with you, the body would be taken without the right hand, postmortem will continue without it. But the whole point is this piece of material evidence would travel in the train, and the train engines are washed only or looked at possibly once in 6 months. So by the time there will be a skeleton which will essentially recover. But these kind of challenges of practical life you will get. പറഞ്ഞതിന്റെ വേറൊരു കാര്യം എന്ന് വെച്ചാൽ ഇതിനുള്ള സ്റ്റോമക്ക് കൊണ്ടുവന്നിട്ട് ആലോചിച്ചോ, അത്ര പ്രസന്റ് ഒന്നും ആവില്ല. രാവിലെ ബ്രേക്ക്ഫാസ്റ്റ് കഴിച്ചു കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ മിക്കവാറും ഇത് ഇൻവെസ്റ്റ് കഴിയുമ്പോൾ അല്ലെങ്കിൽ വിളി വരും. മനസ്സിലായില്ലേ? മറ്റൊന്നുണ്ടെങ്കിൽ നിന്നാ മതി. ഇരുപതിലേക്ക് വാജ്പേയി came to Palakkad as ASP. He was called out again to an inquest. ഞാൻ ഒറ്റപ്പാലത്തുള്ളപ്പോൾ പോയിട്ടില്ല, അതിപ്പോ ഈ ADGP, പക്ഷെ കത്തിക്കരിഞ്ഞ ബോഡിയായിരുന്നു. ബോഡിയുടെ ഷീറ്റ് മാറ്റിയത് ASP കൊളാപ്സ് റൈറ്റ് പോലീസുകാർ പിന്നെ കാണുന്നത് ബോഡിയല്ലേ എടുക്കുന്നത്, ASP എടുത്തിട്ട് പോയി. അത് മോശമല്ല, ഈസ് എ വെരി ഗുഡ് ഓഫീസർ. പക്ഷെ എല്ലാവർക്കും അത് എപ്പോഴും സ്റ്റൊമക്കാണ് വരുന്നത്. ഇതൊക്കെ ഒന്നും മനസ്സിൽ വെച്ചോടെ ഇപ്പൊ എനിക്ക് ഇറങ്ങി വരുന്നത്. But the plus side of this is you become very tough slowly. Nothing would deter you. നിങ്ങൾ ഇവിടെ കിടന്നു വല്ല മുദ്രാവാക്യം വിളിച്ചാലോ എനിക്കൊന്നും ചോദിച്ചു. You will become a sort of extremely sort of resilient to minor protest, this stone throw, this in general we will be able to take a difficult situation very easily and nicely through. അത് ഈ റഫ് ആൻഡ് ടംബിൾ കൂടെ വെച്ചോണ്ടാണ്, മനസ്സിലായില്ലേ? സോ അതൊരു ഡൊസൈൽ പ്രൊഫഷണൽ നമുക്ക് കിട്ടത്തില്ല, നത്തിങ് ഡു. പിന്നെ അഡ്മിനിസ്ട്രേറ്റീവ് സർവീസിനുള്ള വേറൊരു പ്രത്യേകതയാണ്, even as subdivision officer, you will be placed in the district hierarchy in a fairly high level, so that you will start working with all the public representatives, MLAs, district panchayat leaders, ministers, everybody will start meeting with you. So your confidence level will be pretty high to address pretty high. You will not be scared to, when you come to the state level, working with ministers, governors, and even in training you are received in the Prime Minister's office. Prime Minister meets with you, discusses with you, you go and sit with the President, have a cup of tea with the President, sometimes dinner hosted by Rashtrapati Bhavan. So they profile you nicely so that your confidence level is good to work as a national and an international. You will know what to do even if you're visiting dignitaries. There's a president of foreign countries coming, what to do there, what not to do, how to dress, how to sort of receive, how to take around. So these kind of finishings are given pretty early, and then you are elevated into chief executive positions, maybe a district, so on and so forth. And you spend about 15-16 years successfully, they will give you what you call a secretary grade, meaning secretary of a functional department, which means he is the head of the department in the state level. Government of India will make you there the departmental heads are joint secretaries. They will make you joint secretaries. So after you reach that level, work is mainly as head of the policy establishment. But one distinction you have is that because you have seen the rough and tumble of how law is administered in the district, right, including all the contentious provisions of the police code, the criminal procedure code, the evidence. You are expected to have a know of how things will work at the implementation, like the blocks. This experience is considered to be very valuable, and plus you are basically a coordinator who brings together specialist departments, general departments, and pursues the government's agenda at the district level. So you have a leadership position where you articulate, you communicate, you bring together people, like for example, the district collector of Thrissur will, after conducting 2 of your Thrissur Purams, learn a lot of organizing and mega festival, the elements which go into it. The Pathanamthittas collector will learn to be an excellent crowd manager during the season when he organizes the pilgrimage, so on and so forth. So every district has its own speciality, its history, and so on and so forth. So this experience builds up, and then you become an able advisor to the government at the higher level, of the ministers, chief minister, governor. So this will be your world. My life is blessed or cursed by these companies which I developed, including the university seniors, Not easy to work with these chaps. They all their own ideas and agendas in their mind. You have to guess their, when Kunyamu walks in, I love to look at him and try and guess, okay, Kunyamu has this in mind today. And I'm going to agree to part of it, not going to agree to part of that. So what has to second best, the stated intention, the implicit intention, and sort of judge as to how much I am going to allow myself to be sort of conned by the Kunyamu for the day. The other art is to strike balances between people. Invariably, you will be team leaders, right? I'm leading a team of how many executives are there? Directors, deans, Each one is a different character who may or may not gel with one another, right? So, in a university, such differences are inherent and basic and welcome. People should not think alike. It's very important. So, Professor Namir would have a view about certain thing in hosteling. The controller would have a divergent view. Even now, he came and complained a bit about you. Not a complaint, saying that you should kindly coerce, somehow cajole Professor Namir to our point of view. I said, I will try. He's a difficult guy, but I will try. So you need to be an excellent negotiator, right? But there is an institutional objective and there is a constraint, right? Certain things we have to take it through the code. Certain things we can sort of dispense with and take a liberty with it. So keeping it the university's interest center, you will have to talk to these people across the barrier and make them agree on a common minimum program. It's not very easy. And in every institution, people will, once you grow in your career, this will be a main task. Trying to get people into agreement. Somebody will be diverging on a required common decision all the time. And by and large, the secretary government, I canvass this with the ministers. When two ministers don't agree with a proposition between them, it's one of the hardest tasks for me to shuttle back and forth, carrying messages across, sitting with you and answering points, pacifying one or the other end. So that will give you that will make you, if I'm allowed to say, a semi-politician also. Right? You'll have to understand. At the highest levels, constraints can be political, and constraints can be non-technical, perceptual constraints. So one will have to address those issues, sit with them at length, and carry something forward. So forging a unanimity will be a very important task for you, and it's not very easy. Sometimes you will fall foul of it also. The ministers may perceive that you are championing the other fellow's cause. You can easily run into trouble. I've been in hot water forever. That happens. You will have angry exchanges, right? Several times, it's the power tussle which we handle every day is pretty, it can sort of cause anxiety to people who are less resolved, right? Several meetings I have been asked to shut quiet, just don't talk now, right? So you will have to move out of that awkward situation and start talking again, Many people will get pissed off and they will walk away. So after a while I say that, you have been missing me, can I say something? They will say that, we told you, just keep shut, don't talk now. I said, your meeting is getting extremely boring, can I add value to it? So you'll have to get back to the conversation. So it's a challenge and a promise at the same time. So if you have the appetite for this, see, I've seen people succeeding with the IAS exam and thoroughly failing the practice. The trouble is that they are not cut out. I'm not saying that I'm 100% fit, but I've been there 27 years, and each year I've been given enhanced assignments and complex, diverse jobs because somebody is looking at us. Either career seniors or ministers or sometimes even people at the national level. They get a sense that this fellow might be able to forge forward, right? This guy may be able to do this. So they tend to assign me repeatedly, I may be doing something right. I may be doing something right. And interesting assignments are picked up without any structure. People looking at you, performing in meetings, answering the assembly committees. The last point I will add, which is very satisfying, I know that I generated this taste with the hand story. And I found the students, this is what you have. You may not be faced with the situation. Your situation may not have a railway track, so it may be different. It will be all hanging deaths for you. Which is not pleasant at all. Right. So, therefore, the other aspect of career like mine is that if you have the right heart or the heart at the right place, or if you empathize with human beings, you will be able to address a lot of personal misfortunes, right? So those things give you a lot of satisfaction at a personal level, right? You'll be able to help people. You help people in a college education, to help a person in a personal capacity. But people in distress, a lot of people fall into distress in institutions, in public causes, like natural calamities, like accidents, like difficulties which human beings encounter. Unlike technical or academic or professional, something which has deeply satisfied me is that one of my humble or rather concentrations in my career, which even my critics will acknowledge, is to look to break unbreakable cases, difficult matters. So it's the difficult matters that has been mine throughout my career. In the sense, when I went to National Academy as Deputy Director, there used to be a very senior man as Director, and they were facing issues with their construction because they wanted to construct another 50 crore training infrastructure. They were not getting the requisite permissions. So I was the youngest. I had only 9 years of service or so at that time. All the others were my seniors. So the director told JD, put him on the task on getting the permits and starting construction. So they gave me I was the DD in charge of the entire infrastructure of the National Academy of Administration, starting with purchase of televisions to air conditioners to building 50 crore complexes. And they watched my progress for a year. I got everything done. If you look at the Mussoorie Academy, if you happen to be selected into the IAS or IPS, the rooms in which you are going to be trained, the Karamshila and the Durushila, the new complex, was system approved, taken clearance of, and started construction by your vice chancellor. So after I moved over to the National Academy, I was amused to read. We then joined director of the academy. There's something called annual reporting in the service. So there's something called a pet picture, which he will write subjective remarks on me. So I keep it valued because he said that on a normal day you may not notice Ashok or his activities. He is one of the officers in the academy. But what I have observed is if you have a difficult proposition, a difficult task, and a difficulty in hand, he is the man to be called. And you can entrust it to him. It is rest assured that he will be delivered with perfection. So that he noticed it because the more difficult the task is, I tend to apply more. In that sense, that I'm very assiduous with it, pursuing the whole matter in that sense. I still remember the building plans when they were ready. Here you run after the municipality, right? The rest of India works differently. So there, when the 400 or 500 drawings were ready before me for municipal approval, what I got done for it was to request the municipal secretary, because I know that pushing it to the municipality will take several months to approve. So I got the state administration to appoint one of the junior IAS officers whom I had trained the previous year as the municipal administrator for 3 months. I telephoned the guy, I think the name was Chanchal, something UPH. So I said, Chanchal, take your name, seal, designation, and of course you can sign. Come over to my office. So, Chanchal, right? Sir, what should I do for you? I said, sign those 400 pages. And Chanchal, as he was mentioning, he started signing the entire plans. I put your seal. He said, sir, what did I sign? I said, don't worry, go away. Just leave it. It doesn't matter. You continue with your good work. We are also done. Thank you. So we remitted the sort of municipal fee, what was remitted later, actually. See, if you are formal in that situation and try and work with the normal bureaucracy or the normal set of the municipal officer, he will take it through the trade and lose it. For doing the same thing in Wayanad, possibly it took a year and a half. Because the officer trusts me entirely and the CPWD has formed the plans, he took a risk and he signed, and he knows that he's doing it for people who won't be putting him to trouble. The whole thing flew like that. So this is one of the networking advantage which you can exercise. he will be able to help numerous people in difficulty. Just to tell you a couple of instances I have seen, is that only you will be able to do that because you have a certain risk-taking ability and the system trusts you that when a difficult call has to be taken, the minister will ask, are you convinced? Tell me honestly, are you convinced? Can you do this? Will this cause a problem? And ministers being very busy, they may not be able to analyze everything in that detail. And I have found repeatedly at senior levels, you promise the minister that I have gone through the matter, and we can safely decide this. They tend to take your information and proceed with confidence. That's a very important aspect of the work. You can, I just want to tell you that in the sense, some of the employee issues which we could solve very uniquely, which you may not know, which we are able to champion and do in that sense. There used to be a assistant engineer, I'm just remembering, like the other story. I think that I don't want to give you the name. In the KSCB who took employment abroad. These people take employments in Saudi Arabia or they get a higher job there, so they will take leave and go and they don't come back. If they are well settled there, they will not return. So eventually they will be removed from the service, dismissed for absence and all that. This fellow returned. But this guy fell into a disadvantage because he lost his job. He had huge prospects. He married very late and because he had no children, he became depressed. Right? That's what the story which was given to me. He became depressed, his wife suffered some health issues and finally they adopted a child. But after the child was adopted, for some quirk of fate, he lost the job abroad. He was doing very well. And when he returned to the service of KCB, he found that he had already been dismissed. Normally, we will not take a case back because there are hundreds of people who have been terminated in that situation. So he came to me while I was power secretary. So we referred the matter to KCB, but KCB was not in favor of restoring him to service. Unfortunately, I became chairman. And I discovered my own recommendation to restore him, not acted upon, lying in the establishment plan. So this boy came and he started sort of pleading. And he told me one thing, because he is suffering this child, because they adopted this child. It's a very sensitive matter. You can apply your mind. His relations feel that because the misfortune the adopted child brought in, you see the point. The family has gone out of, he has lost his job abroad, he has lost his job in KCB, and therefore there are issues in the family which are leading to adoption. One thing which he told me struck me, he said that, sir, I may have to. Right. So I thought that's a heavy misfortune for a person to happen. So when I called for the file, I found 300 pages of notings recommending to the chairman that he shall not be taken back. Not one note is sympathetic with this cause. And obviously, he's in deep financial distress, etc., etc. He gave me details about that. So I telephoned the sub-division officer, my own junior colleague, and said that I want you to take a very sympathetic view at a certain personal distress. I want your naked eye report on how this man is faring and whether he has any other source of income or why he is suffering. I need a report describing his situation. So my junior colleague went to his home and interacted everything and returned a report which more or less convinced him. So I took it. I wrote the note myself. I took it to the KCB's board, the functional board. There are 7 directors, and even in that meeting, this man belongs to the distribution branch. The distribution director said, "That's what are you trying to say? Somebody dismissed 14 years back. If you take him back, you are going to get another scores of my engineers who have been removed. They will come back." So I said that you read my note, and it was a succinct note that the board went through the whole note in silence, and then the senior most director said, "The chairman is pressing a case. We'll make an exception." And took it back. So he did not gain much, but he got 2 residual years with KCB and a pension. You see, this is a typical situation where only a fairly high-ranking officer can make an exception. nobody in the system would make an exception for this man. So these sort of exceptions are possible only if you apply your mind. I'm very happy about it because the whole thing is that you see, if you look at it, the future of that adopted child is at stake. So that's the element which you have to rather develop in your note. So you talk about the need to encourage adoption as a social practice, the fate of it, and there is a quirk to it. So you need to view it as an issue which is slightly more than a case of removal from service. So you make an exemption and do that. So these kind of satisfactions will come to you. Another important thing which we did in agriculture, the small matters, not like launching a company or launching a business or all this, but your eye for detail will. One more example from my own career, direct example. When I was in, we meet a lot of people suffering for, suffering because they made an error or they are being made to suffer for no error of theirs. This kind of situations you will see. I remember a case of one engineer. Lady from somewhere in Perindalman, I think, Malappuram district. So I got a distress letter from her, retired executive engineer, I think, saying that she has retired 15 years back and she's still to be paid a full pension. The pension has been retained, her DCRD has been retained, government benefits have been retained. And she also said that I'm writing to the third or fourth secretary of the Water Resources Department, but it's not done. So I have a board in my room. If Dr. Nabir would have noticed whenever they came to me, not here in my Trivandrum office. So I tend to post these difficult cases. I will immediately make a note of it so that I see it every day. Otherwise, you will lose track of it, right? So I immediately put her name was Warrior or something. So I put Warrior pension. Here, kept it there. And then I asked the CE and the other people to collect all the background information, and I went through the whole history of the case. It was a very interesting case. I don't want to bother you with the details. How the executive engineer lost her pension is very simple. She was I believe, the executive engineer in charge of the Chandramatam regulator bridge construction, which is happening. And at one stage, the contractor ran out of sand to construct the bridge. Either the contractor could have brought it from other sites, because if enough sand was available in the construction site itself. As executive engineer, she allowed him to abstract the sand and use it for the construction of the bridge. But later audit found that she should have used a rate schedule, which was used by the panchayat while auctioning sand, whereas she has actually used the PWD rate schedule to compute his compensation. So that was different by around 200 rupees per ton. I'm talking about 15-20 years back. So the total loss to exchequer was computed at, I think, 4.5 lakhs, and interest for all these periods. So like she had to pay 15-20 lakhs to the government. So that was under dispute, and it had gone into a. So then when I found this, it's a rate dispute. The only thing that was required was for the chief engineer of irrigation to take a call on whether the right rate was approved. Because the audit fellows wrote something, the chief engineer of the day did not apply his mind. He could have simply said that the rate which he used appears to be correct, and this audit observation is not sustainable. Instead of that, her department started chasing her, giving her notice for 4.5 lakh, then interest, these other things. The poor thing is suffering. Yeah, no pension, but only minimum pension. The children's education is suffering. The mental distress will be huge. After working for 30 years, you are left with nothing. So I was ready to sort of condone it, reverse the whole finding, and I attack these auditors. What we do here normally. But it takes a lot of pain. This is like work for 2-3 days to sort of who will do it for some remote YSR sitting in but this is the challenge involved in a job like this. You have to reverse 8 years of history in a file. So you go back. So I had another misfortune in that file because the Public Accounts Committee had already taken note of the fact that we had punished the engineer, and then we were about to recover the money. So I issued orders in the irrigation department with consent of the minister that the whole charge is appears totally wrong. There is no loss at all. That repudiating the entire progress for 8 years, we exonerated her, and that went to the Public Accounts Committee and held problems. There were 12 MLAs there, very important, powerful, and Public Accounts Committee is headed by a opposition, usually a very important opposition MLA, which happened to be the present opposition leader at that time. It's not Mr. V.D. Satheeshan is the present opposition leader. He was the Public Accounts Committee chair. So when I was called to give evidence the next day, he opened up saying that we are very distressed to find that you reported to us that you are recovering amounts from this engineer. And you have come under pressure and we have reversed your entire decisions. We want to hear at length about what has happened. We read your orders. We are not in agreement with you because you were conning the PSC for 2-3 years, saying that you are recovering. Now you are saying that she is innocent. We don't accept your views. We think you are trying to protect your engineer without warrant. We think that you are siding with her and we are suspicious of your motives. We want your. So the assault has shifted from the engineer to me. Right. So I remember sitting in that BSc meeting with absolute composure and taking them through all the facts of the case and telling them how this misplaced allegation was raised at her, how it was not corrected at that point of time, how the audit went wrong, how the wrong audit report was accepted due to oversight, could have been corrected at that point. And I took them through the point where we said that, that this 4.5 lakhs is really not due from her. It's a minuscule amount. When you work out this conveyance, etc., it's a very minuscule amount, 20,000, 30,000 rupees. And as an engineer who has contributed and retired like 15 years back, already 82 years of age or something, you don't go and trouble an 82-year-old person. At that point, the criticism was continuing from others. But I remember the chair of the PSC said, members, whether we agree with the secretary or not, we should give him credit because he has studied 8 years of history on a trivial mathematics. So we will excuse Varasya and write off the right. So it gives you great satisfaction because unless you take that particular element of commitment, it is very difficult to sort of take this through such a body where there are very important people, and unless you have the element of fineness in you, you cannot take it forward. So the basic thing I wanted to tell you that if you are persuaded by these traits of analysis, an ability to endure yourself with the tools of learning. I put some words in the slides. It's not material now. I'll answer your questions. First, ability to work at those cognitive skills. These are skills which you call cognitive skills, and a certain persuasion for pitching for a collective cause and sufficient broad-based vision. This position will be very good for you, right? It's not strictly saying that you can contribute to society. It is a lot of crime and difficulty and dirtying your hands and meeting with challenges, and your day is not going to be easy at all. But at the same time, it is deeply satisfying venture. You will get to build a lot of new structures. You will be able to envision. You will be able to plan. You will be able to importantly assist people who want to do things. So these are things which encourage me in my profession. So I'll stop there. Request you if you have questions. If you want to ask questions, you will be most welcome. Otherwise, we will close for the day and leave you for your sports. Please.
Good afternoon, sir. I'm Abhinav Mishra from Odisha, currently pursuing my BSc Honours Agriculture second year here at College of Agriculture, Bellanur. I have two questions, sir. First question is preparation and academic life balance. And second question, how to tackle the ethical dilemma questions. Ethical dilemma.
I had no ethical dilemma questions in I don't even know. I don't know what those questions are now. We had a much more less complex examination format. You have now that CSAT and all
Yes,
this. You compare your academic preparation and exam preparation. You are doing undergraduation, right? You have to only crack your undergraduation subjects. And if you have already chosen the optional to write, start reading that up at an honors level and read the Hindu thoroughly. Thoroughly means masthead to printed and published by.
So the problem is what happened 15 days ago, I forgot. Like current affairs now.
That's good. You please forget, you read again. There's no harm. See, current affairs of today will have no bearing on the year of your examination. The only thing is, if you are seriously planning to take the examination, if it's still relevant, you please read the NCERT's social science syllabus, class 11 and 12 thoroughly. That's the base. This examination is pitched on CBSE plus 1, plus 2, 11 and 12, and then you have to build up.
Thank you, sir.
It's not complex at all. You are good with it. You are studying, let us say, you are studying a student of agronomy or climate science. You are scoring 8 out of 10. It's the same thing which works with this examination. Only thing is you sharpen your expression and also remember that this is a competitive examination. So your answers should not fetch 7 out of 10. It should fetch 8.5 out of 10. That's all. To be done. Written part.
Yes.
Then you have to be a smart talker also. Spontaneity, my word in this examination, the most impressive part of a student, an aspirant is the spontaneity which he has. I look forward for this in every single interview because I ask her a question. Her eyes will immediately tell me whether she comprehended the question correctly or not. This is the most important test, whether you hear correctly. Unless you are hearing correctly, your cognitive processing will be in error. If you are an impatient listener, you cannot do your job properly. So first thing I will see is whether you are comprehending what I am trying to ask. If my question, and I may deliberately ask an unclear question, will you jump into the answer or will you ask me as to, excuse me, I did not get your question. Can you please repeat it or word it differently? I did not get your question. It's a very good sign that you are a very active listener, right? You're not rushing with your answer, you want to understand. Secondly, I can know from your eyes, even from your body language, as to your processing is very fast, right? You're not going here and there and getting scattered all over. Your random access memory is very good. Your RAM is very good. Your disk is running very fast and very fast you are able to retrieve the essential and bring it forward, There are some people who can only quote answers chapter-wise, right? Teachers are notoriously tend to start with the beginning of the chapter. That is not required. Like, see, there's this joke about, not on you, not pulling one on you, but usually advocates say it is very difficult to cross-examine teachers, particularly school teachers. They cannot get to a point without a huge preamble. So if you ask a teacher in the witness box, are you married? So typically teacher will start, when I was aged 15, I started thinking about marriage. The advocate will say, don't think about that. The only question is whether you are married now or not. It's very difficult. He has to start with the thinking, then only reach the current status. He will take a few minutes to answer this question whether he is married at the moment. He can't spontaneously answer it. It's only a joke, but don't go there. Are you married? Yes, no. That's it. Very simple. Don't think too much about it. Okay. And it's also very important that if it is pointed out to you that you made a mistake in an answer, you simply apologize, saying that I'm sorry that I went wrong. Simple as that. Interviews prefer direct, simple, comprehending people with good cognition. That's all. You have 24 years, people sitting across have 30 years of experience and practice. You don't have to correct or you don't have to prove anything with them. You are no match for the other side, right? All they are looking for is, will you understand correctly and will you apply correctly in a given situation? Are you able to process information without bias? And if you articulate something, will your colleagues be able to understand directly? Will your instructions confuse? That's very important. Because remember, if something really bad goes on, such as a huge turmoil in law and order and all that, and if suppose you are, these things are very uncommon these days, but if ultimately your the police counterpart says that we need to sort of control the mob, it's not at all working, and you need your orders to open fire. You need a judgment of the situation and you need to articulate an order. So you will your order be decipherable or will you collapse at that situation? Will you take a judgment call? And I've come across near situations when the police would, like once it happened in Kollam that the police station was under attack. So it was like 7:30 in the evening. The district collector called me and said, please rush to the station. There's a situation developing there. The Tahsildar or executive magistrate won't be able to handle, you are required. Device is already there, you go there immediately. So I went there. Somebody was brought to the station. There is allegation that he has been beaten up. So a huge crowd had sort of encircled the station. Already station was pelted and station was under attack. So a police station under attack is a very serious thing. So normally police will try to use, because see, the station is damaged and police are injured. They will not be able to face the public the next day. So one of the things to do is to pacify the sites. But at the same time, you have to see that the mob is dispersed, either through persuasion or politically, negotiating with them. The police is not able to negotiate because the mob is totally, against the uniformed officers. So I had to go there. They blocked me for about 30 minutes, 40 minutes. I could not get into the station. Then I told them I'm here to sort of inquire into the situation. And somebody sort of allowed me to pass and go there. So these are very tricky situations in which several police officers were injured. They are all visibly miffed. They want to sort of crack one back. They are ready. They have got their armed units also around. So when I went into the station, the magazine is opened. The weapons are taken out. The rifles are being put into motion. The armorer has started distributing the. The station is getting defensive. Usually you will have only these days you will have only one pistol man standing in the guard. That bell of arms is not there. But I found that the inspectors had taken their weapons out. They were clicking with. Fundamentally, they were loading those old 303 rifles, which may fire or may not fire. Firing is a very, very rare thing. So you have to keep the magazines and they were ready. So I said, there's a very burly deputy SP who I think he died later, Rashid. Rashid says, sir, we will need to sort of coerce these rascals. I will need orders to fire upon them. Sir, Rashid, relax. You will think about it. Don't fire up before talking to them. Let's call them in. But she said, let's not call them into the station, sir. They will come and create havoc. I said that you don't call them to the station. You take your inspectors and stay behind. I'll call them to the station. I'll call them to the station and I'm not weaponized. So they're not going to attack me in that sense. So I asked 4 of those fellows, they're real gundas, who were destroying the station. I asked them to come to the station, sitting in the SHO's chair, I started negotiating with them. I remember going on till 11 or 12, till when we got additional reinforcements and police, and somehow it fizzled out without the need for a quoted arrest. They were removed and we settled the situation by 12 in the night. Things like that. Interesting. Challenging and interesting to begin with. Okay. No other questions? Shall we close?
Any more questions?
You are so full of knowledge and you have taught them everything. Is this a composition with very few points amongst all these ladies? Is the 80% is 80-20? 80-20. This is a good thing. In fact, the batch I steered in the Missouri Academy, the professional batch, had till that point the maximum number of women joining is 33% or something. What we got that year. Now I think it is much more than 40 to 45%. Okay. you guys are happy with my monologue, it's fine. The other important element of cracking these questions is to always be full of questions. Other than that. And my general message to particularly what I find, now this is not to critique agriculture, forestry, graduates of the agriculture university. I find a lot of young people who have joined the agriculture department also. See, when you are young and your professionals who are coming up, I told you that your reasonable confidence. നിങ്ങൾക്ക് അറിയത്തില്ലെങ്കിൽ കോൺഫിഡന്റ് ആയിട്ട് പറഞ്ഞാൽ കാൽക്കുലസ് അറിയത്തില്ലെങ്കിൽ കാൽക്കുലസ് അറിയത്തില്ലെന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ മതി. So the an honest confidence about you is very important. That's my fundamental point. ഞാൻ കൂടുതൽ കാണാത്തതും അതാണ്. ഇപ്പോഴത്തെ കാർഷിക ബിരുദധാരികളെ കാണപ്പെടുന്നു സ്മാർട്ട്നെസ് കോഷ്യന്റ് കുറവാണ്. അതെന്താണ് നിങ്ങൾ ഇടിച്ച് നിർത്തി കളഞ്ഞിട്ട് മൊറാൽ കളഞ്ഞിരിക്കുന്നതാണെന്ന് എനിക്കറിയാൻ പറ്റില്ല. എന്റെ മറ്റു ഓഫീസേഴ്സ് പറയും ഈ യങ് ഒരുപാട് പെൺകുട്ടികളാണ് പോയത്. പെൺകുട്ടികളായതുകൊണ്ടല്ല, ബട്ട് ദ പോയിന്റ് ഈസ് ഒരു എന്റെ കൊലീഗ് ഓഫീസർ പറയുക ഒരു തണ്ടൊടിഞ്ഞ ചീര പോലെ തണ്ടൊടിഞ്ഞ ചീര പോലെയാണ് പെൺപിള്ളേരില്ല. ഒരു കണ്ടു കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ സ്പാർക്ക് യു ഹാവ് മീറ്റ് ഇൻ mid-20s കാണുന്നില്ല, തോന്നില്ലേ? എന്താണ് സംഭവിച്ചത്? കൂടുതൽ മൊബൈൽ നോക്കി നടക്കുന്നുണ്ടാണോ ഒഴിഞ്ഞു പോയെന്ന് അറിയാൻ പാടില്ല. Your gait, your appearance, your demeanor is very important. It's extremely important when you go for an interview. We generally keep watching the arrival departure pattern, how confident he is or she is. Confidence is not how composed you are. Can you will you be disturbed quite easily, or will you be able to maintain composure under stress? Those are very important elements. So try to work on your. You must be doing some sports and body conditioning preparations, but try to improve upon your posture, your walking. These are all extremely important. You may be a very knowledgeable man, but if you will walk like this, you are not going to get IAS. I can tell you very well. If you stoop your shoulders, chin down and eyes down, I immediately put a score there saying that. Half of it is how you carry yourself. How you carry yourself, your confidence, that really matters. And how honest you are with yourself. Very proposal.
Another interview, there was a quarrel between the interviewer and the applicant. Because one of them is only because something he asked about Lawford and Africa, or the scientific name of African elephant. So he said that the interviewer said he said Lawford and it's Lawford and the African, and he said Lawford. So there was a quarrel between them.
Okay.
And that went to an extent that you don't know anything about it.
Who told? The interviewer told the interviewer.
No. The interview
told the board that you don't know anything. Professors can do that.
That was
He will get also. He was a new entrant for assistant professorship, but he told the board that he doesn't know anything.
Not good that the particular was of course what he told was right. That the spelling was wrong. It was not because Lawford on the African nights or what the applicant was right.
Okay.
But he should not have gone to that level.
So you denied the right man his job. The board was wrong in that case. But he told the board that you don't know anything about this, right? That's not advice. That's not advice. അപ്പൊ ആ സ്റ്റേജിൽ ഇന്റർവ്യൂവർ ഭയങ്കര അഡമന്റ് ആയിട്ട് നിൽക്കുകയാണ്, അയാൾ തെറ്റാരെന്ന് തോന്നിയില്ല. ഇങ്ങനെ പറഞ്ഞാൽ മതി, അങ്ങനെയും പറയാതെ. One of my friends went for the interview in the year which I read. He also got it. He got it for Forest Service. He's there in our state itself. So first question they asked was very interesting question. Can you spell the name Rupee? So he promptly answered Ruppee. You ask 10 people to spell Rupee, they will only spell Ruppee. This is where the pronunciation will misguide you, right? So at the end of the interview, the chairman asked him, did you answer all the questions correct or did you go wrong somewhere? He said, I answered all the questions right. So they took out a 100 rupee note and the doctor showed him, please read the word rupee. So he said, sir, I think I had 1 P more. He said that, see, most confident man can go wrong, but there is no harm. And they selected him promptly also. There was no issue. Right, happy? So don't mechanically write this exam. This is a job like any other job. Now, I would rather say if you are picking up something in academia or self-start, there are a lot of satisfying professions. I don't think civil service is the only career out in town or things like that. But I have personally found that it meets my personality type in that sense, because despite trials and tribulations, difficulties, transfers, working in several places, I find that it is a satisfying occupation because first of all, you are able to do something with an institution, do good with an institution. Of course, you will annoy people also, some people against you, all these things will keep happening. But you are able to help people also who deserve your support and help, which is a very important thing. Because in many positions, you may know what is right, but you may not have the stature or position to pull the system towards it. This is one of those careers where if you know the stuff and your heart is in the right place, you can assist a person in distress. I found myself, unfortunately, doing it several times in a career in a year, so that not to sort of be satisfied. Okay, so wish you all the very best. The thing is to keep learning. Keep learning very diligently. Spend your day, what you require for your honors, masters. Keep doing that. If you want civils, start reading on the side 2 hours, 3 hours. Start investing in year 3, 4 in your graduation. Focus on it after your graduation the next 2 years, and one or two focused attempts will give you an excellent rank if you so desire. Okay, so hope to see some of you join civil services, young entrants. Every year, some 5-10 fellows walk into my room saying that we have newly joined service, and I look at them and smile, what they're going to go through in the, that's before they are going to the subdivisions. I ask them, how good is your stomach? Do you throw up very fast? Do you have a railway going for your subdivision by the way? So they don't get the idea, what I'm asking. They don't know what is this job for. This job, he will go and sit in the office very nicely, nice and dandy, and you will find the police inspector landing up saying that, sir, please come in. We are requested in the morning. Come on, that's it, let's start moving. And that's the way it goes up. Then some young lady may realize that this is not her cup of tea, right? They will start looking all over. That is the fun of it. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir, for your valuable and inspiring words. I'm certain your insights have left a lasting impression on each one of us present here. As a token of our love and gratitude, I kindly request Dr. P. O. Namin to present a memento to Dr. Ashok on behalf of IQAC. Now, to deliver vote of thanks, I invite Dr. Elshred Joni, sir, Assistant Professor in PAU, stage.
Thank you so much. The academic matrix on the stage and the faculty members and the students. We got a great privilege and opportunity to hear from Dr. P. Ashok IAS, Honorable Vice Chancellor today. And he inspired us in many ways through his words and through his wisdom, and as well as from his experience. So he taught everything from his experience, and many of us, I'm sure about that, many of us will be, in the near future, there will be many IAS aspirants, IPS aspirants from this community. So I would like to thank our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Dr. B. Ashok IAS, for his time and for his wonderful presentation. And the talk was organized by IQAC, Internal Quality Assurance Cell. I would like to thank the director of IQAC and other staff members who came from IQAC for this wonderful program. Thank you so much. I would also like to thank DIS, Director of Information Systems, again, Director Dr. Naveen sir and other members who are with us on the initial stage itself for the technical support and for the live streaming and all the support for us. Thank you so much. I would like to thank Forestry Dean Kunal sir for his presence here. Thank you so much, sir. I will have Harkin sir also here. So thank you, sir, for your presence. I would also like to thank the other faculty members and students who have joined offline as well as online. And the students who are present here, thank you so much for coming and make this event a grand success. I would like to mention a few students here. As we came here, we have seen the floral arrangement here in front of the campus. So I would like to mention them, the 2024 students who did there. And we have seen the handmade bouquets here, which was distributed at the time of the event. That was made by 2023 students. I would like to thank 2023 students. And anchoring was done by the students itself. Thank you so much to the students as well. And finally, I would like to thank the College of Science and Environmental Science who was running behind this event for the last few weeks. And credit is grand success actually. So he is always inspiring us through his words, through his actions, and through his inspiring things which he is doing for this college and for the students. Thank you so much. And our technical team, we will have the technical team here who are arranging the sound systems and everything. Thank you so much for that. And finally, I would like to conclude and thank each and every one of you present here, especially the faculties of College of Climate Change and Environment Science, who is also running behind this for a long time now. And the students who are also running to make this a grand success. Thank you so much for everyone.
Your success.